start on time. We start on time. Although the time is at 8 a.m. that we are supposed to start. But maybe you need to and especially on one side. Oh. ඒක හැබැයි මේ මයික්‍රොෆෝන්ස් වැඩ කරන්නේ මම හිතන්නේ මේක සෙට් කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඔන්ලයින් අර ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න දෙන්න කොහොමද කියලා. Okay, so that's for the online students. You can hear it, right? But also I'll be disciple how the online students what they're saying is that they cannot hear properly because these mics are not linked with mic. It's linked with that machine if it is on or the machine on there. The problem is that I cannot do this one. Smart work because people like that might not be able to see that. So it's too tight. Smart is smart, but again, it has to be large. Big smart is smart, but it's not large. So they can find they cannot feel that, but it can be people that correct. Even I know that few people, the party will be able to see it. Unless you have a minute. Let's go back to so they are to take out that aspect. But never mind. So let me remind ourselves what we did last time. I think we can put like one day. Absolutely results. Class create I asked you to create a list. What was the data to create? And we did a calculation as well, isn't it? Right? We did the cost calculations as well. Yes, with that, then we completed the chapter number 1 for the session number 1. Very good. So we did that in depth, right? So now we are understanding how you are going to create a data file, right? Yeah. The students can hear me better now because now the mics are also on the unique place. That's also so it's clear among the I think information they have job. That will last to there was a kind like this. Students I know it. That's good. Armenia, whether you know the 18A batch from 18A? Thanks, Can you ask your friends whether they can hear you? But I don't know. Oh, they will give a response. Then ATR is there. SK is there. SK is there. But I know with regular response. So just ask them whether they would hear. Yeah. There. Just ask them whether students online can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Oh, sir.
There was a small issue last time. There was a small issue that there was a fine request that these mics were not connected with my computer, so they could not hear the problem. This time I am trying to help it. So, so I have to be mindful and give them the best, all the best experience. Hope. Like escape without what I know. Need more method का पागल. I know it.
Oh, sir.
I'm very happy about it. So all of you, right? Okay, so let me minimize and let me. So last time, right, we discussed how to create a website, how to create a data sheet, not a website. Website, because I don't want to be able to speak. How to create what? A data sheet. Website, the mother name. You have an AI, and you can create a website within seconds, a Google. Right. So you created what? A data set from scratch. Right. So what was the process? You imported it. First of all, you created the basic structure in Excel. Excel will create we imported that to state. And after that, what did you do? You did some changes, like giving labels, value labels, etc., etc. Right. So we did it, and even we did finally a computation computation here. Right. So that was the entire thing that we did last time. And today we shall now go into a new topic, session 2, that's called descriptive text. Now we shall start with the analysis part. Up to last week, what we discussed was how to create a data, what's data, and how to create a data. And from this point onwards, we are going to discuss different kinds of analysis. And I'm going to start with today descriptive analysis. For that, you can see there is data session 2, descriptive statistics. Data session 2, descriptive statistics. So please, you can go to the LMS, you can see here. Data session 2, descriptive statistics is there, but if you download. That's descriptive statistics. And open. Right. Please take down this topic, descriptive statistics, if you have not already done so. Please have the topic, a large topic. Topic number 1 was, in fact, the manipulation of data. Then topic number 2 that we are going to discuss today is what? Descriptive statistics. Right? Descriptive statistics. So you can take now descriptive statistics. Now the first question comes, why do you need to do descriptive statistics? Why do you need to do descriptive statistics? Now behind all these analyses, you have an objective. Analysis was there, objective. Behind each and every action, you have an objective. Why are you doing this thinking? Because you have an objective.
right? To get a better career, to be a fully fledged professional, take on it. That's why you are doing it, isn't it? Likewise, behind each and every objective also, but each and every analysis also, you have an objective. Behind each and every analysis, you have an objective. Now, my question is question number one. Why do you need to do this repair? Why do you need to do this repair? What's the purpose of doing this repair? Why not go to ChatGPT and ask that? Go to ChatGPT, your beloved app, and ask it the purpose of performing this repair. Go to ChatGPT and ask it. Use the prompt. The purpose of performing descriptive analysis. The purpose of performing descriptive analysis. But why do you perform descriptive analysis? All over the Mahatma. Why do you perform descriptive analysis? Why do you do it? Why do you perform descriptive analysis? After this. And you can take them like Dr. Srilanka, each and every. Kita yang bukan baik, kita buat. Kita yang baik kita. Yes, right. What are the things? I appreciate that.
Summarize and describe the key page.
Summarize and describe. Summarize and describe. And NP. Also, the Yana interaction with the society of the hard knowledge. Communication. Yes, you're all correct. You're all correct. Actually, the answer is to summarize and describe the data. As the name says, to describe the data. Descriptive analysis is to describe the data. To summarize, describe data, identify patterns, right? Trend. You use descriptive analysis. Right? So that's the thing to describe, right? To summarize and describe the data. Now let me give an example. Now, how many students are in this class? Let's say there are 25 students, right? If I ask the ages, starting from you, I'll get 25 ages, right? Can I remember it? Can I remember all 25 ages? No. But if I get the mean value, saying that it's 22.56, can I remember that? Yes. So what I did, I summarized and I used it to describe the data. So I tell that you are what? Quite young. Summarize and describe, right? So that's why we are going to use descriptive analysis. And I'm going to teach you all kinds of descriptive analysis that you have studied in your earlier studies. Your first year, I think you had a subject called statistics or something similar. Did you have the first year, second year, third year? Probably your first year was there. Today I'm going to teach all the things that they had taught you, the lecture had taught you within 3 hours. Right? All the things on descriptive analysis and all the things as well. Why? Because when you did that particular subject, you did that what? Using calculators or even pen and pencil. But here you have a great tool. What's a great tool? Okay. So you don't need to waste your energy and time by writing down formulas, right? And other things. You can use your energy for more productive purposes. By state I do the hard work, but you have to do only what? interpret this. Result එක දෙන්න interpret කරන්න විතර වන්න කරා. ඒක අමාරු වෙන එක මොකද අමාරු වෙන්නේ? In the computations, it's the most difficult thing. But then it spits out the output. What we need to do is we have to look at the output and interpret the result. Right. Right. So that's the reason I have given here. You are absolutely correct. All of you are correct. Right. Why you are doing descriptive analysis. So here, to describe the function, to describe the data, to summarize and describe the data, so others could understand about the data. Then, what are the types of descriptive analysis? You can see on the screen, there are different types of descriptive analysis. Describe the data, you can use different kinds of analytical tools, right? But frequency analysis, we start with that. Frequency. One is you can use a frequency analysis. I'll tell you what are those with examples, and you'll be doing that with me, with your computer. And then measures, you can calculate measures of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location. All these you could. What are measures of central tendency? What are fields? What are measures of central tendency? Mean, median, and mode. Those are called measures of central tendency. Right? In your first year or second year, you should have calculated that. Mean, median, mode, those kind of things. Today, you are not going to calculate anything. You are going to ask state to calculate that and interpret the result. So why we need to waste our time? Right? Then that's called measures of central tendency. Second one is what? Measures of dispersion. So the dispersion, like the range, minimum, maximum range, standard deviation. And there's something called IQR as well. What's IQR by the way? IQR, interquartile range, which I teach you as well, or remind you again, what's IQR? Interquartile. Then you also will have measures of distribution like skewness and kurtosis. Are you familiar with skewness and kurtosis? Don't worry, I'll show you what's that. I'll show you. Don't need to calculate. I'll show you what it means. Skewness and kurtosis. Then you have measures of locations like quartiles and percentiles. These all with simple examples I'm going to teach you. Data will do the output. Data will give you the output. What I will do is I will describe. So yes. How many times? Don't worry. You don't need to ask me. That's the only thing you have to do. Unless otherwise you come anytime that you want. And you can go anytime you want. But again, remember attendance is the requirement and also you have to adhere to the policies here. There are policies, guidelines, so you have to adhere to the policies and guidelines. And when there is an assignment going on, you have to be there. And then comes that you can not only that, you can perform graphical analysis and describe the sample as well. Like you can draw pie charts, histograms, bar charts, etc., to show graphically your data. Graphically, your data can be depicted. So these all are called descriptive tests, descriptive analysis. However, we have to understand these analyses suit for different variables. Right? Now let's take for an example a variable like gender. Right? Now let's say I coded your gender as 1 and 2. 1 female and 2 male. Let's say for an example. I coded your gender in the data set now 1 and 2. Is there a meaning of calculating the mean value of that variable? Gender එක මම දාගන්නවා කොලම් එක මොකද්ද? ඔයාලගේ 25 දෙනාගේ gender එකක් දාගන්න. age එක දාගත්තා. කීයද කියන්නේ? මොකද age? 65යි. ඒක මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? හරි. Okay. 21යි 22යි 25යි. First I'm going to put your age in one column. Let's say that's one page. Then I'm going to put in the other column your gender. Gender, I'm going to call it as I have two categories, male and female. I will assign 1 to females and I will assign 2 to males. You can assign anything that you want, right? There's no anymore. There's no anymore. You can assign whatever you want. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to compute for the age variable, the mean value, the average value. I'm going to add all your ages and divide by 25. Then I get the mean value, the average value of the age, right? Is there a meaning for that? Yes, there's a meaning for that. I will get up here, say 22.5. So by looking at that number, I know that these are young crowd, young set of students, and I need to teach them accordingly. Right? But on the other hand, now I have the gender variable also, 1, 2. Gender variables also I have 1. Now, is there a meaning of calculating the mean of the gender variable? Gender variable is 1 to here among one again mean like 1.5. I got the mean value of the gender variable 1.5. Is there a meaning for that? 1.5. 1, 2, 1.5. How there? But again, with all due respect to all the kinds of gender orientation, right? So, but there's no meaning. So it's a categorical thing. Categorical variables are what? Having categories like males and females. We can code it, but there's no meaning of calculating the mean value. Right? Categorical variable mean value calculate is same of name. For that, what kind of analysis you have to do? You have to perform something called a frequency. You have to tell the frequency. Okay. Among the 25, what's the percentage of males? Frequency. What's the percentage of females? The frequency. That's what you have to do for categorical. That's why, although there are several types of analysis, you have to choose the analysis based on the type of the variable. If the variable is a categorical variable, what's the analysis that you are going to do? A frequency. So likewise, you have to understand that. So I have given a small note on that. If the variable is a categorical or a nominal variable like gender, you have to perform a frequency. Yeah, these are the very important. So that exam also you might need to ask, you might need to identify what's the most appropriate analysis to be performed. Based on the type of the variable, you have to. So therefore, say if the variable is categorical or nominal like gender, you will perform frequency. If it is a continuous variable like age or income, you are going to say that you are mentioning the actual value. You have to perform, you could perform the method of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location. So take it up. So this is going to be very important when you are going to perform your analysis. The variable is categorical or nominal. You could perform frequency. If it is continuous, you could perform measures of central tendency, dispersion, and distribution. Keep this very well in mind. That's why I even ask you to take it down. You have to take it down. Then you will remember. Later on, you will remember that what's the most appropriate analysis that you have to perform. Whether it's a categorical or whether it's a frequency. So this is the theory I want to discuss with you. But now let's start practice. Action. Now for this, let's use session 2, employee intention to leave. Please download this file. Go to the LMS of the week 1. You'll see data session 2, employee intention to leave. The DTA file.
HTML file is the DTA file. Therefore, in the slideshow, you can make DTA. This state of right. So we can make the difference. SAV file is the pieces file, but we are not going to make pieces. We are going to data. So make it 80. Right. The extension of that file should be session 2 employee intention leave dot DE, not SA. SA is not the right. So let's say first open the file. Okay. That is first open this file and okay, perform one-way frequency. First, let's open this file. So download this file. So session 2 employee intention leave DTA and please open that file. Please open that file. So you should first open the file and perform a one-way frequency analysis. I don't know how you make that. Before that, please open the data file. Data session 2. Right. Now, what are the variables that are there? So to see the variables, you can see in this page. What are the variables? So let's say enlarge it. What are the variables that are there? You can see in this page. ID number of the employees there, gender is there, age, job satisfaction, leave, training, then working conditions, 1 and 2, and smoker, child and salary variables are there. So if you want, you can now go and even see the variable set, both the variable, the document, what we call the database. So we'll go and see the database. How can we see the database? Instead, use what command? Browse command. We'll say WSC, browse, you will type browse and finish enter. Then you will the data. So you can see, right, you can see male to female is given as male 1 and female 2. You can see the coding is behind this. And the age is being measured, the actual age is given. Job satisfaction is again given in Likert scale. The training days are given in days. Then satisfaction levels are given, very satisfied to dissatisfied, it's in Likert scale. Then also, there's another variable called smoker variable. What smoker variable means? Whether the employee smokes or not. It says yes and no. Then child. What does child variable means? Whether the employee has a child or not. At least one child, then yes, no, then say no. Then salary levels are given. Now tell me, out of these variables, what are categorical variables? What are continuous variables? Tell me what are categorical variables and what are continuous variables? Now, for an example, if I take the variable gender, is it categorical or is it continuous? Categorical. What's the difference between continuous variable and categorical? In categorical variable, there are only categorical. In a continuous variable, it can have any value. Now, for an example, let's take the example of age variable. Is age variable a continuous variable? Yes. Because it can have any value equal to points. Age could take place 20.05. Mark the days you get expressed. Right. Then another variable that is continuous. What's that? If you look carefully, there's another variable that's continuous. What's that? The salary variable, the last one. That is also a continuous variable. That is also a continuous one. So there are in fact three continuous variables. What are three continuous variables? Age. Then what? Age is there. Two. Age and two continuous variables. Age and guess what? The last variable is what? Salary rate. Salary is also given in thousands. That is also expressed in thousands. So these are the two continuous variables. First of all, when you get a data set, try to understand about the data. What kind of data is there? There are two types of variables, in fact, we classify categorical variables and continuous variables. So age and income are what? Age and income are what? Continuous variables. Between 2 points, you can have any value. Between 2 points, you can have any value. Then, categorical values are what? That could have category, like field. It has category. Field. Right? So, first of all, when you get a data set, try to understand the difference. Right? Because the analysis that you perform is different based on that. Right? I told you, if it is a categorical variable, what analysis are you going to perform? The nearest variable. What analysis are you going to perform? Frequency. For which after take a categorical variable, right? Put a literal sign, you will say frequency. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Categorical variable, frequencies. So you understood that. So I gave you this note earlier. If there is a categorical variable, perform a frequency. If it is a continuous variable, perform measures of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, right? Location, those kind of things you can do. And I'm going to show you all these things, how to do using data very easy. You don't need to know the formula of this single statistic out of control. Don't need to know. Data will be giving you the answer. What you need to do is just interpret the results. Let's see how to do it. Now, you open the data set. And those who came late, please open this data set, go to the LMS. Download data section 2 employee intention to leave data set, which is the data set. Open that and download that and open it. Then this is the data set. In this data set, you can see the variables are there. Gender is a categorical variable. Age is a continuous variable here. It also could be a categorical variable if you really want to do that. You can do in ranges, but here it's not the case. And then you have smoker variable. I was smoker or not. Is it a categorical variable or continuous variable? Smoker categorical. Yes, no. It says yes, no. It's a category. Category you got category. You got it, whatever you got, categories there can be more than one, more than two categories, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then how about child variable? Child variable, it asks whether you have a child or not.
Is it a categorical variable or a context set? Right, because there are two categories. Yes. No. You cannot have, like, if it is 1 and 2, you cannot have 1.5. 1.5 here. Now, it's not that big a matter. So, it cannot happen. Therefore, it should be category. Category. There cannot be decimals in that range. But age could have, as well as salary could have. Right? Age and salary could have what? Decimal. If you want, it can have it. Is it? Right. Now, let's take down. Right. Performing frequency analysis. Performing frequency allocation. Please take down. Performing frequency analysis. Performing frequency analysis. For categorical variables. For categorical variables. Performing frequency analysis. For categorical variables. Performing frequency analysis for categorical variables. Gender, categorical variables, gender, smoke, and height. Gender, smoke, and height. Gender, smoke, and height. Variables. Gender, smoke, and height. Variables. Performing frequency analysis for categorical variables. What? Gender, smoke, and height. Variables. So these are the three categorical variables that you have to in bigger type questions. What are those? Categorical open. Some statisticians state claim those are what? Category. For some statisticians they claim those are also functional. So I am one of them. Right? I treat them as continuous variable, although not strictly they are category. So we can calculate the mean value, median value, and other things. But for bigger scale questions, as we do the same. Okay, now let's see how to perform a frequency analysis. Right. For that, you need to open the data file first of all and open data, that data file is data. And then let's see now how to perform a frequency. Now take down the states. Now you can take down the state. Right. Here I show you, I'll enlarge it. So you go to statistics menu. Go to statistics menu. Summaries, tables, and tests. Right. Write down this. Right. Please write down statistics, summaries, tables, and tests. And go to frequency tables. Summaries, tables, and tests. Frequency tables. And then go liquid. And go to one-way table. One-way table. One-way table. Go to one-way table. Go to one-way table. Again, let me remind you. You went to first statistics, then go to summaries, tables, and tests. Go to frequency tables, and then go to one-way table. Is it clear? That's all. Then what you can do is, you can click on that. This is how you are going to perform the frequency analysis. And I'll use the what it comes. One-way table. So click on one-way table. Then this dialog box appears. And here please choose the categorical variable. What the categorical variable? First one we are going to choose gender. We have three categorical variables that we are going to check. What are those? Gender, smoker, and child weight. Gender means your attention. Smoker means whether a smoker or not. Child means whether there is a child or not for this particular. So we'll take first one categorical variable. Of course, we'll take gender. And that's gender. You say gender. You choose the categorical variable gender. And press OK. Press OK. You can see a nice frequency table comes. nice frequency table comes. It says, what are the two categories? Males, females. Then it says the frequency. Frequency is the number. Here there are 185 males and 254 females, and the total is 439. And then it expresses as a percentage. You can see 42.14 are males. How did you compute 42.14? 184 divided by 439 into 100. The percentage of males. The percentage of females is what? Is 1.8. Altogether 100. This is what is called frequency. The frequencies, the numbers are here. So the majority, the sample are who? Males or females? Majority of who? That's the insight you have to take. This workplace, in this factory, majority are females. That's the insight that you take. So this is called what? A frequency analysis. This is called a frequency. Can you do the same for the next variable? What's the next variable? I told you child, gender, child, and smoker variables. Can you do it for the smoker variable? And tell me how many smokers are there? Are the majority smokers or? Can you check? And I encourage you to sit with the person who is having the computer. Computer connected. Maybe you can come and sit and say, oh, you are mine. No. You are going to take on the yes. Go. You are going to challenge. You can share. Thank you for sharing. Sharing is what? Yeah. Sharing is sharing. That's the universal truth. Share the knowledge and it will expand. Share something, it will expand. Don't share it, keep only things with you, it will never expand. That's the universal truth. Sharing, yeah. My life, that's very true. When I was a student like you, long back, 25 years back, when I was a student like you, I did the same. Once I started something, I shared. I expand. I expand. So that's what sharing is. Yeah. And share. Share your knowledge, teach someone. Once you start those days, I could still remember. A person, a visiting lecturer came to the university who taught us computer basic. It was not this fancy systems that we have now. It was a DOS-based system. A DOS-based system that's called DACIS. DACIS. I think you have heard it. DACIS is the system. And he comes and he teaches to the board. Board is not here. Anyway, now he comes to the class, looks at the students once, and then he's teaching to the board. He's looking at the board and he's explaining. That's all. And then he's looking down and he's looking at the board and explaining. No one understood the subject. Only I understood the subject. Why? Because before the semester, before each semester, I go and meet my senior. Particular one senior was there, Mandara. I go to Mandara and I say, Mandara, what do you know for post manual? I asked him to post manuals for the next semester. Post manuals are the teaching material. One, he gives it free of charge to me. If not, I have to purchase. So, post manual. So I get it from him. And then what I do is, I take it home and I read it as much as possible. Particularly computer subjects, I am very interested, even now. So one that I gave the post manual of the computer-based accounting subject. What I did was I took it home and I took the package from NC. I went to NC, City, and yes, the pirations was there, and they gave it to me. I took it home. I installed it in my brother's old computer, but 256 is a very old computer. Do you know the hard drive capacity of that computer is 2.5 GB. Hilarious, right? 2.5 GB. But I put that on a computer and I was practicing. I started practicing and I mastered the subject even before the semester started. Because I was so fascinated about technique. When the lecturer comes and teach, I know already what he's talking about. So although he's teaching the board, I understood the technique. Then I was the only student now who's capable to go for the exam and do it. All others were looking at what's going on. Right? But always what I teach is what I do. Sharing is what? Yeah. So there was a huge request that came from the entire batch. What? To help. I thought, okay, why? I did not keep things for me. What I did was, then I started teaching. I went to Dr. Kalam at that time, head of the department. Till conference there, I told him that we needed that and it is to take it. To take it. And then I took the lab and I told each and every student. Even today they remind that I do not keep it. Once I learn things, I share it. In universities, in campuses, we call it what? Informal teaching by your batch to your batch or senior batch to your batch is called what? Cookie. In cookie, it's a small thing. I put a barrel. So then it also led me to for the teaching as well as becoming the assistant professor out of 200 lectures at Java University Management. Standard professor. Why? Because of that passion to teach, passion to share. Therefore, share. And also ask others. There are people who are, of course, it's a matter of just asking. They will try to help. So my colleagues asked me, then I very warm-hearted said, okay, I don't keep it for myself. But if you share, it expands. If you keep all things for yourself, it never expands. That's what I am saying in my mind. So do what? Share. Share your knowledge and share your wealth. After you get enough wealth, then share that with poor people. People who are in it. Then it expands. Keep for yourself. Then yes, keep it for yourself for a short period. Right. So share your computer, share your knowledge. Right. So this is called what? A frequency analysis. Now can you perform frequency analysis for the other two categorical variables? What are the other two categorical variables? Smoker as well as child weight. If you look at it, so when smokers, when in terms of smokers, who are the majority? Are the smoking people or not smoking people the majority? Thanks, Bob. Is it? In terms of children, are the employees having either the high percentage or the low? Right. So likewise, you can see, now let's see, I show you. Now let me show you how to perform a frequency analysis for smoker variable as well as child variable. So what to do? So you go, I'm contracting the screen, so show you we are. So open state, of course, now we are open. I'm going to expand, then you are going to go here. Over. What they are there? Because they are go to statistics. statistics, average tables and tests. Then what? Frequency tables. We go to one-way table. In the one-way table, now it's not gender. Yes, it's what? Smoke. There is a smoke on. And you don't need to pick anything. Smoke variable. Right? And you can this one. Here you can see, are you a smoker? Yes, no. Yes, 85 people are smokers. What the percentage? Almost 20%, 19.5. The majority are thanks for they are not. They are 51 are not focused out of 106. But response. So 80.5%, almost 8% are not smokers, 20% are smokers. Therefore, those are insights. Describe some. Then the next category of variable I ask you to do a frequency analysis of child. Whether they are child or how to do a frequency analysis. You go to statistics, summaries, tables, then frequency tables, and one table. One table. Then now you are going to choose what? Not smoker, you are going to choose child. You have to press here, okay. You don't need to tick anything, and you can press okay. Child variable, you can see yes, no. People who say no, there are 253, 53, and who say yes, there are 185. So the percentages are given. 57.76 say no, but majority are having no. So this is called one-way table. One-way table because you take only one variable. Here, what are the variables you took? You took three variables separately. What are the three variables? Gender, smoker, and child. Now, if you want, you can combine them. Now, you would see, let's say you are interested in knowing how many female smokers are there. Isn't it? You might be interested in knowing how many female smokers. How many male smokers are like this. So you can combine this by doing a two-way frequency table. This data, two-way frequency table. Now this part will give you the one-way frequency table because you took only one variable at a time. Now let's try to see a two-way frequency table. Two-way frequency table. In two-way frequency table, you can take two variables. Example, you can take over here. Example, gender and smoker variable. Gender and smoker variable. You can take gender as well as smoker variables, and then we will be able to see gender and smoker. Gender and smoker variable. Gender and smoker. Can we see how to do that? It's very simple. Right? We'll see how to do it. Again, as a matter of today, where we are. So this is the data window that we are in. This is data window. Now we want to have gender and smoker variables together. Let's see how to do it. So I'm going to now expand the screen. So I'm going to go again to statistics, summaries tables. Then we go to frequency tables, and now go to two-way table. We go to the next option. Can you see that? Frequency tables, earlier you went to one-way table because you took only one variable. Right? Gender. Now you are going to go for the second one, which is called two-way table. Is it clear? Two-way table. Two-way table. If you are going to take two variables. Here we are doing gender and smoker. Please take out example gender and smoker. Gender and smoker. I would like to say how many males are smokers, how many females are smokers. And my advice is never smoke in your life. Don't smoke. silent killer. You are not only killing yourself, you are killing your loved ones as well. They are also a silent smoker, meaning that while you are smoking, if they are near, they also get cancer. Cancer. You want cancer? Almost cancer. Okay. So frequency tables, two-way edge. Two-way tables. Can I click on this? Okay. To get a much bigger one, and it says row and column variable, you can choose anything. There's no row variable. Let's choose gender. And column variable, let's choose. And also don't click OK. Why not you say relative rate? Also click relative frequency. That's it. Just choose gender and smoker and say relative frequency. Here also you can have what within column relative frequencies, within row relative frequencies. You'll see what are these. Why don't you pick all these things? Within column relative frequencies and within row relative frequencies and relative frequencies. You'll see what are these. It's fine. So what I did was I chose gender and smoker and within column relative, within row relative and relative frequency. And I will press OK. Table count. So you use frequencies and other things. You can see in terms of males, right? You can see here there are 184 males. Out of that, 17% are smokers. 17% are smokers. 82% thanks God are not smokers. 33 and 151. Then in terms of females, there are 252 females. Out of that, 200 are non-smokers. But there are 52 smokers. The amount is almost 21%. Right. So comparatively, who are the highest smokers? Female. Because 17% out of males, out of 100 males, there are 17 or 18 males who are smokers. Then out of 100 females, there are 21 who are smokers. So relatively, who is having more smoking tendency? Are these employees, females? Disaster. Like as you can see, and then you can see this way also. Males and females percentages are given. You can see as well from this way also. Who are smokers? Yes. Then 38% and 51%. That's the total of columns, which amounts to 100. That means among smokers, highest in. Among smokers, who are the highest? Males or females? You can see the second one. 38% are males, while 61% are female. Because 33 and 52. That's the second one. So likewise, different statistics are given. Then the total is given, total 42% males, and 57 females 54. So likewise, a comprehensive analysis is given by taking what? Gender and smoker together. So a little bit alarming because among the smokers, the majority are females. So I think we as an employee, if I'm the employer of this company, right, that it's having 439 employees, 436 employees. So I will try to intervene and try to help these female smokers and male smokers to stop this bad habit. I'll have some psychological counseling, awareness programs, particularly for females. So that's what. So this is for what? A two-way frequency test. Why we call it a two-way frequency test? Because we take two variables together. What are the two variables? The gender as well as whether the smoker or not. Then we take that two and then we see what are the matrices, quadrants that are there. You can have many, then you can also, if you want, you can put some other, whether these people having children or not. But smoke and children, one of the smoke and children do it even like that. Smokers and children like no. The end of the story, isn't it? You are a smoker and if you are smoking while your kid is there, you are killing that person. That's called silent smoke. Therefore, whatever smoke, whatever substances we have to avoid. Substances abuse should be avoided. Our natural body should be natural. Not any kind of ice, KG, or any kind of other products, pharmaceutical products should be consumed. Not even Red Bull. Red Bull, that's also a substance. Should avoid that all at all for particularly males. Scientific studies have found out certain very disturbing findings related to if you consume Red Bull, what happens to males. I cannot tell that in public, so you can find it up on users. Okay. So I'm not against Red Bull. Not against Red Bull, and I have nothing against Red Bull, but I'm against substances. But I'm addicted to one substance, that's what? Coffee. A harmless one. But I'm controlling that coffee. Coffee is a great substance to have, it will give you focus. But green tea is much better than coffee. But anything, right? Anything should be moderate. Coffee, tea, or whatever should be moderate. Soft drinks keep away at all costs, right? And other kinds of substances, legal, you have to be aware, right? And you have to be aware of it. Okay. Right. So this is how you come up with what? One-way tables as well as two-way tables. Now, what's the analysis that we perform? This is called what? Frequency. This is called frequency. We perform frequency analysis for what variables? Kind of variables? Categorical. Is that clear? Is it difficult? No. Just to interpret once the result comes. And preparation of tables are really easy. What you have to do is you just take these tables and go to ChatGPT and tell to prepare the table. And then it will prepare the table within seconds in a nice formatted way. Right. So now let's go and so that's about this particular data set which we went through. Now let's come to the second one. So I told you, if it is a categorical variable, perform what? A frequency. It is a continuous variable to do computations on these things. Measures of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location. I think you are familiar with what's mean. Mean is what? the average value. So if I want to take the average value of this class in terms of your age, what I'll do is I'll hold your age, I'll collect your age, I'll write, and then I'll take the total and I'll divide it by the sum. Let's say there are 50 students, I'm going to divide it by 50 and I can get the average value. But median? Median. What is median? Again, in your first year, even in your advanced level, you should have studied that, but sorry, right? I'm insulting your knowledge, but again, what's your median? How do you define median? Median, to calculate median, what you have to do first? Put the data in ascending or descending. Put the data, arrange in ascending or descending order, and take the exact midpoint. That's called it. Right. Then what's more, the most frequently occurring number. Why these are called measures of central tendency? Because they usually tend to be in the middle. That's why you call it what? Measures of central tendency. You will see this. Right. Then measures of dispersion. Dispersion means what? How much it disperses. Right? The variation in your data. For that, you can calculate the range. Range is calculated how? What's the definition of range? Again, in your first year, in your advanced year, you should have studied. Maybe some people in the university might have studied this. How you calculate the range? Well, did you pass your first year? That was wrong. Just here. How to calculate the range? You take the maximum value and deduct the minimum. The difference between maximum and minimum is known as the range. Then you have the IQR. What's IQR? IQR is the interquartile range. How to compute that? Let me show you. Now, as I told you, you put the data in ascending or descending order. Let's say you have numbers, and to calculate the IQR for the range, you have put in ascending or descending order, or even the P. Right now, here there are how many numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 now. Right? Can someone tell me what's the range of this data? What's the range? Take the maximum value and deduct the minimum. What's the maximum value? 81 minus 62. 81 minus 62 is how much? 19, right? 19. 19 is the range. The difference between the maximum value and the minimum value. That's called the range, right? Take it down if you want. Range equals max minus min. Right? Range equals max minus min. Maximum value is 81, minimum value is 62. The difference between those two is what is called range. Then now I'm going to teach you what's IQ. Range is basically. Now, before I teach IQR, you have to know what's quartiles. So if I again put the data like this, the minimum to maximum or the maximum to minimum in ascending or descending order, the exact midpoint is not as well. The exact midpoint is not as well. If you put the data in ascending or descending order, what's the exact midpoint known as? The median. Right? Median. Madhyastha. Median. The exact midpoint is known as the median. So it's from 0 to 50%. 50% is the exact midpoint. So this is the 50th. 50%. 50th percentile. We call this 50th percentile. And that's called the median. Right? Then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to track this again into half. 0 to 50%. Then that percentage is what? It's 25th percent. 25th percent. 25th%. Then if I'm going to crack this, again exactly at half. What's that called? What's the percentage? What's the percentage? 30. 75th, I'll call it 75th percentile. 75th percentile. 75th percentile. Right? So the 50th percentile is known as what? The median. The 50th percentile is known as the median. Exactly. It's also known as Q2. What's Q2? It's also known as Q2. Quartile. This is known as what? The first 25th percentile is known as what? Q1. Then the third one is known as what? Q. So quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. Is that it? Now the difference between Q3 and Q1. But the difference between Q3 and Q1 is known as what? Interquartile range. The difference between Q3 and Q1 is known as what? The interquartile range. So Q3 and Q1. Now in this case, the lower part is 64 Q1 and Q3 is 77. Let's say, give an example. Q3 is 77 and Q1 is 64. Can you tell me what's the interquartile range? Interquartile range is equal to what? Q3 minus Q1. So you can take double short. IQR equals what? I. Okay. Equals what? Q3 HP minus Q1. So 77 minus Q3 is 77, Q1 is 64. Then what's the interquartile range? 30. Is that clear? That's called IQR. Range is the difference between maximum and minimum value. IQR, the difference is between what? Q3 and Q1. Then also we have some other statistics like the standard deviation. How do you compute the standard deviation? You take the deviation from what? I say standard deviation. Deviation from our standard. What's the standard? Mean value. So from the mean value, how it deviates? Like plus or minus. That's called standard. And if you take the double of the standard deviation, it's called variance. So what you do is you take the variance and you take the square root of it. That's called the standard deviation, which you study in your advanced level. I'm just reminding you. Okay. Then also, let's try to understand what is skewness and kurtosis. What is skewness and kurtosis? What is skewness again? What is kurtosis? Right? Then another thing. Now these are measures of distribution. Now usually we expect a normal curve. What's a normal curve? Is that what you see in the middle? In the middle you see a nice bell-shaped symmetrical curve. But sometimes when you put the data into a histogram, it won't look like this. Sometimes the data might be going this side. That's called negative skew. Right? You can do this and you can just put some notes, right? If the data goes negative skew or not data. Okay. So in this case, it's negative skew. We expect data to be like this. Nice bell-shaped curve. But sometimes the data might be this side, going to this side. Or sometimes the data might be going to this side, which we call positive skew. Positive skew. We have to draw a histogram and see which side the data goes. Positive or negative. So this is skewness, a measure of distribution. data manufacturer, they are using positive negative. As some mean, or symmetric. You can see the decimal. The next thing is what we known as the kurtosis. Kurtosis, again, you expect a nice bell-shaped curve, but sometimes the data might be peaked. Now you are expecting a nice bell-shaped curve like this, but sometimes the data might be peaked or plateau. So if it is peaked like this, not forgetting on the data, then in that case we have positive curve. Or if it is plateaued like this, not a normal curve, if it is plateaued like this, it's called negative curve. You can see this by drawing histograms. So again, you expect a normal curve. But sometimes when you put the data into a histogram, you will see that it's skewed like this. Or it's skewed like this. This is called what? Negative skewness. This is called positive skew. This in terms of skew. Then in terms of kurtosis, we again expect a nice normal curve, but sometimes when you draw the histogram, it will look like this. That's all. That's called positive curve. Or sometimes the data might be looking like this. Flat out. That's called negative curve. So these things, if you have studied in your earlier studies, I'm just reminding. But even if you cannot remember, don't what? This is what it means. So now I think you can understand what are all these things. Central tendency, mean, median, and mode. Dispersion, range, IQR, variance, and standard deviation. ST stands for standard deviation. Then distributed skewness and kurtosis. This is what we discussed it. And then location, percentiles. 50th percentile, 75th percentile, 10th percentile. And also you can see the quartiles. Quartiles are locations. Q1, Q2, and Q3. Those are locations. Right. Okay. We'll take a break, no? Break like how many? So after the break, we'll compute all these things. You don't need to compute anything. Data will compute that and give the output. Okay. Can we take now a small break? Now it's 9:50. Shall it be at 10:10? The 10:10. A. This comment 10:10.
Here I started here. Previous batch.
The same is the new and oh yeah. Welcome back. Shall we start? Brief vacation is over, and let's now see how we could compute measures of center tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location. We compute all these measures. The figures. Maybe they are computing something else. Right. Okay, let's start with it. Now, okay, you did the first one. You perform the frequency analysis for gender, children, and smoker variable. Right, smoke variable, shift variable. Now, we shall calculate for age and salary variables. These things, mean, median, and mode. Those are measures of center tendency. Then dispersion, right? For again both variables. range of standard deviation, and measures of distribution. Right, and we will also need to add measures of location as well. Q1, Q2. Likewise, we will try to calculate. Okay. So I'll add here measures of location. So add that. I say measures of location. Say markers. Then also let's say I want the 90th percentile. I also added, why not you also add this? Measures of location, quartiles, and the 10th and 90th percentile. And you also add that to the requirement. So point in food match. And you also please put that one. Sure. Under the 10th slide, slide number 10, you can add these two these requirement also. Can add this requirement also. And the 10th and 90th. Right. Now let's see how to do the calculation. How to do the calculation. We'll see. To calculate the measures of center tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location. Let's see how to do it. Right. It's quite simple. Please make sure that you have opened the data file. So we had opened the proper data file area. Right. And these were two variables. What are the two variables? Age and there are different ways that you can do this, but let me teach you one way. You can go to statistics and write down. These are how you are going to do the measures of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location for continuous variables. Earlier I told you about categorical variables. Now it's for continuous variables. So statistics, summaries, tables, and tests. Then go to other tables. Statistics, summaries, tables, and tests. Go to other tables. Put all numbers and write down. Statistics, summaries, tables, and tests. And go to other tables. And then under other tables, go to compact table of summary statistics. But again, what we did, we went to statistics, summaries, tables, and tests. Then other tables and go to compact table of summary statistics. Other tables, compact table of summary statistics. Compact table of summary. The total. I'm going to click on that. Shall I click? Now, so comes this particular table, which is called a tabstat command. Actually, this is the command you have to run is tabstat. So you are going to now select the variables. What are the variables that you want? Want the age variable, which is a continuous variable, and then you want the income variable, which is the last variable, which is the salary variable. Age and salary. You selected both variables. Then you can go to mean and click on mean because we need the mean value. Then let's say you also need the median. We need the median value. So I selected the median value as well. Mean. Then I'll select those are the two measures of tendency that I would like to select. Then let's select measures of dispersion. What are the measures of dispersion? I would like to select the maximum, minima, and also the range, the difference between those two is the range. Right? After I select right range. And then I will also select the interquartile range. Yeah. The interquartile range is okay. Then also I would like to see the standard deviation, variance, and the standard. So I have selected measures of center tendency and dispersion. Right? So I selected two measures of center tendency, mean and median. Then I have selected other measures of dispersion, minimum, maximum, range, interquartile range, variance, and standard deviation. Right? For both what variables? Age and salary variable. So shall I say okay? Shall I click OK? So I'm going to click OK. Then you can see the nice table for age and salary. You get the mean. Right, mean is 37.43 for age, 1,386 for salary in dollars. Then P50 is what? The exact midpoint, that's the median. In data, P50 is the median, the exact midpoint. So that's 36. You can see 37, 36 are quite close. This is what we call measures of center tendency. This focuses in the middle of the data set. So what's the maximum age among these employees? What's the maximum age? You can see the maximum age is 70. There's one person who is 70 or one or several people maybe who is 70 years old. Then minimum age is 18. Maximum age is 70 and the minimum age is 18. The difference between maximum and minimum is known as what? Range. 70 minus 18 is how much? 52. You can see the range is 52. Then IQR. IQR is what? Q3 minus Q1. Q3 minus Q1 is what? Quartile 3 value minus quartile 1 value is 21. Then variance is 167. And if you take the square root of that, you get the standard deviation 12. 12.94. What it means? 12.94 means, yes, from the mean 37, it can go plus 13 years. 12.9 is about 13 years or minus 13 years. So that's the deviation that it takes place when it comes to, right, the mean value. The mean value can be plus or minus 13 years. this station. So this is how you computed what? Measures of central tendency and dispersion. Okay. Now we shall compute the rest of the measures. What are the rest of the measures? We have another set of measures. What are those? Measures of distribution and measures of location. What are the two measures of distribution I discussed? Measures of distribution bukan dekat apa? Skewness and kurtosis. Skewness and kurtosis. Can we see how to draw skewness and kurtosis as well later? First, let's compute skewness and kurtosis. Shall we do that? So again, what you need to do is again go to the same command. What's the same command? You go to statistics, summaries table and tests, then other tables, and again compact table, summary statistics. The earlier option that we used. Go there. And then now I don't need all these. I'm going to take off some of these things, some of these ticks. And I'm first going to, please not me, I'm going to take skewness. I'm going to select also kurtosis. Skewness and kurtosis. That is okay now. Skewness and kurtosis, yes indeed. Okay. And you can see the skewness and kurtosis is not zero for 8 variable as well as for salary variable. If the data was normal, this would have been 0. Here you can see the age and kurtosis variables are having some values, not 0. That shows there's what? Skewness, there's a slight positive skewness. So data should have gone like this. So if it is positive skewness, then it should go like this. This is what we call positive skew. It goes this way. And if you see kurtosis, you expect a nice normal curve, but it seems the data is at its peak. Shall we check this by drawing a histogram? Then you can see the data distribution. Right? Please take down drawing a histogram using scalar. Drawing a histogram using scalar. Drawing a histogram using scalar. And we'll check this. Skewness and kurtosis. Right? One of it was the skewness and kurtosis. Histogram is the histogram. After histogram, histogram is a visual depiction of data distribution. How the data is distributed is indicated in the histogram. You shall see how to draw it in state. It's very easy actually. How to draw a histogram is very simple. You now go to graphs, graphics instead. Instead of go to graphics, not statistics. Graphics. And go where? You can see there is one histogram. Histogram is there. Graphics, histogram. Click on histogram. Let's go into 8 variable. So first is ask, right? The histogram. What's the variable? Let's go to the age variable. Age. Select age. And this data is in continuous. Age is a continuous variable. So leave continuous as it is. I don't need the density, I need the frequency. So please select frequency. I need the frequency. The age distribution I need it first. I require age distribution. Then I will press OK. Then I will press OK. So what did I do?
I selected age from here, that is. Then I left data are continuous because to default. Then frequency, I selected frequency. Earlier it was density. I selected frequency. Then I will press OK. I'll press OK. Please make sure you write it. Shall I press OK? Of course, let's press OK. See the histogram. Okay, what can we see? In terms of skewness, what has happened? It has gone to this side. It has gone to this side. Can you remember the skewness statistic? For 8 variable. For the 8 variable, the skewness statistics were what? It is positively skewed. Skewness is 0.49. Positively skewed. So you can see that here. That diagram is over. So what this shows? It shows the distribution. So these are the age of employees in the horizontal axis and then the frequency. So it shows 20 years old, around 20, that means 18, 20. You can see there are about 80 people. That's what it shows. And also you can see peak. It's not a nice normal curve. It's peak. That's why you can see the kurtosis here is a positive kurtosis. Because ideally, if this had followed a normal curve, it should have followed a nice normal distribution. But it's not the case. So it's not short. You can see here, it's 2.4. That shows its peak. Positive peak, positive, right? Kurtosis is there. That means it's positive to peak. Peak. So you can see in the histogram, it's peaked over. It's not a nice normal curve. Had you had a nice normal curve, both of these statistics, kurtosis and skewness, should have been zero. Normal curve එකක් තිබුණා නම් skewness එකේ statistic එකයි kurtosis එකේ statistic එකයි zero වෙලා තියෙන්න ඕන. But here is not zero. Right? You saw that data gave you skewness 0.49. Again positive, it's a very tiny amount, 0.49. But still, as it has positive skew. And then it positively skewed. Then kurtosis is 2.4. That's a huge amount. Now suppose if this distribution, if the data was normally distribution, this value should have been how much? 0. This value should have been 0, which is not the case, as you can see. And you can visually also see there's a positive skewness as well as there's kurtosis. That's how you confirm this particular statistics from drawing histogram, right? Histogram at this time go with your profile. Then let's go to the measures of
Now we computed what? Mean, median. Then we also calculated range, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, even IQR. Then finally, we also computed measures of distribution, kurtosis, and skewness. Right? Maybe this would have taken 2 or 3 weeks when you did this in your first year or in your second. But we took only 30 minutes to do. Given less. Why that? Because of technology. Because of state. You need to do this in pencil and paper. I don't think you need to waste your time. My belief is that you should know the formula but not to remember it. You have to understand what is possible. And to describe that, that's what is required. Not to waste your time. Right. Now I added a new point. If you look at your own slides, it might be not there. So I told now also say what are the quartiles? And also to see what's the 10th quartile, the 10th percentile as well as 90th percentile, 90th percentile. The data, these are data points. The quartiles, Q1, Q2, and Q3. So what I'm asking is, what are these values? What are these values? What's the lowest value? Age, 80, and then 70. Exact point, exact midpoint is what's the percentile here? 50th percentile. 50th percentile. Then what's here? 25th percentile. It is here 75th percentile. These are the percentile. Then also I would like to know what's the 10th percentile. And what's the 90th percentile? That's what we like to know. Already we know, and we'll do it again. Okay, to compute this, what we can do is, you can go to status, and you can go to what? You can go to status, and go to where? Statistics here. Then summary table and test, and go to what? Other tables, and go to compact table of summary statistics, which you went earlier. Then statistics, summary table and test, other tables, and go to compact table of summary statistics, which you went earlier. Now, for age and salary, I don't need skewness and kurtosis. I need, let's say, I need now the locations. I need first the 10th percentile. I need the 10th percentile. Also, I need Also, I need the 25th percentile. Online students, did you have a question? Then I need the 50th percentile. What's the 50th percentile? The median. Then I need the 75th percentile. That's Q3. %. Then I also need the 90th percentile. For agency. Directly. Then, so these Q1, 25th percentile, 50th percentile is the median, is Q2, 75th percentile is the Q3. And the 90th percentile is what I want. I'll say okay. And in this nice table, it gives over. P10 is the 10th percentile. What's that? What's the value? 22. So the 10th percentile value is 22. 10th percentile value. Then you want 25th percentile value is 26. The value is 26. That's the location. 25th percentile, that's the location. Then 50th percentile is the exact mean value. What's the 50th percentile? 36, which we got earlier. I think you can remember. The median was 36. Then 75th percentile is 47. And the 90th percentile is 55. These are people. Can someone tell me what's the IQR? Earlier we computed, but what's the IQR? Q3 minus Q1. IQR Q3 minus Q1. What's Q3? The 75th percentile. That's how much? 47. That is 47. Q1 is 26. IQR is 21. IQR is 21. So these are called measures of what? Location. Because these are different locations in the data set. These are different locations in the data set. The 10th percentile is the 10th location. The 20th percentile is the 25th location. The 50th percentile is what? The exact middle location. Then 75th percentile is the Q3. Right? Then 90th percentile as well as the 100th percentile, that is third. That's the last number there, which there, the largest number. Right? Right. Now let me give you an exercise. Now let me give you an exercise. Now please open, download and open this dataset, which is called session 2 survey for ed.dta. DTA file. Not the let's call it a DTA file, the data file. Data file. So please change it to DTA. Go to the LMS and you see okay, under week 2, there is a file that is termed as data session 2 survey for ED. Please download it. And I hope to improve its data. Its data. No, don't download. Download another one. Make agak buang ke mana dia dia import. Kita di import kan. You download same file data session 3 survey point. Tiga bekas. Ini aku produk ini. But I think I make your life easy. Sampai dia pandau kan. Tapi sampai tu dia kerana I should have more. Geek. Wait a minute. 10. Right. Okay. Now please refresh your screens and then you'll see there's a file called as data session 2 survey for ED under week 2. Under week 1 is there. Under week 2 there will be data session 2 survey for ED. Is it available? Right, download that file. It's the state file. Please download that file and open that in state. Data session 2 survey for ED, please open that file. Right. Now look at the file. The huge file. Once you download and open or import a file, please browse and see whether the contents are okay. So I just opened this file which I downloaded from the LMS and I'm going to check that file. I'm going to go to browse, BROW, and see the contents. Yes, the contents are there. No problem, I'm going to close the data editor. And I'm going to view the variables. What are the variables? They are gender, age, marital status, child, education, and some other variables as well. And if you go down, there's another variable that's called as total life cycle. Can you see that? It's called as T life cycle. T life cycle. As well as we have TP stress, that's total perceived stress. These variables are also there, almost at the bottom of the data. So at the beginning, we have what? Gender, then age, marital status, child variable, education level, source, smoker, those kind of variables are there. Then you have almost at the end of the variable list, you will see total life cycle is there, T life cycle variable, and TP stress variables are there. Did you locate that? Okay. Now what we'll do is, we go to the requirement. The first requirement is that perform frequency analysis, open that file and perform frequency analysis for these variables. What are the variables? Gender, marital status, child and smoker variables. Why frequency analysis for this? Why frequency analysis? Because these are categorical. I told you, for categorical variables, you have to perform what? A frequency analysis. For a continuous variable, you have to perform what? Other description, measures of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location. Those three you have to. Now, trying to perform for the first a frequency table for gender, marital status, child and smoking variables, and tell me from the results. And then for the age and life satisfaction variables, life satisfaction is measured in a Likert scale, 5 to 35 Likert scale. I need you to compute what? Measures of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, location, those kinds of things. Can you do that then for me? Maybe I'll randomly select a student and come forward and ask that person to do that. No. present it as missing. So working groups. Working groups. One seated person who is having a computer. Where is the computer training? So where is the person who is having a computer? You know the computer theory. Computer. People who are having a computer. It is people who are having a computer. It's okay not to have a computer, but on the other hand, that you have to sit with the person who is having a computer. That's how one people table there. Yes, so what do so they have to sit with someone or even with the person. Because computer correct. Randomly, people to come forward and do their answers. So they have to make sure the cover can do, but please bring computers. Or sit with the person. If you don't want to go and sit with anyone else, then bring your own computer. Hey. Computers naturally actually this should have been done in the lab on the first case. Right. Then I'll ask you to come forward and do it. Use this data file and please perform the analysis.
TP of staff.
I'll give you 3 minutes. Yeah, actually. If you randomly select people, only what they like. I have to first name, number. Okay, there are 91 people. Doing support there to take vendors. So now randomly let's pick the first person. Then user of this code. Then so I'm going to use rank with field. There are 90. 90 percent. So I'm going to use the formula rank. Nine. Random number. 82 is this student. Anand.
It's right.
DCS Anand. Who is DCS Anand? No. Yeah. Yeah, singer. So these are randomly picked. I don't know. They are randomly picked. 66. All the 66 come. Vadana, Vante, Vadana, Vante. Sadhana is there. MIF Sadhana. You know? People are current. We will make a top list again later. 21. Oh, the 21. Phone ring. Oh, the phone ring. One phone ring at last time. 1 second, I started. I will not have a what is not a car in the cabin? Part. Show us how to do the frequency. Both of you got this. What are targeting? You guys can. How did you bring it up? I don't target. Let the card get very kick at the current way. Okay, what do you think? 61. Here, summer victim. Who is summer victim? Nothing way. I get a mama karana. So, what was the requirement? The requirement is what this data set we have to select what? The proper data set. Proper data set. Session 2 survey for ED data file. This is the proper data set. And first thing is to do what? Frequency analysis for what variables for these variables. Gender, marital status,
child and smoker variable, right? So shall we do that? Help me. I forgot. Over. Statistics. Then what? Summary tables and tests. Three parts. Frequency tables and motto. Then what's the categorical variable that you must select? Let's say gen. And nothing else needs to be built and practice. Okay. So you get what am I doing? I don't need cover. 57%. Good. Then you go to the next one. What's that? What's the next variable you want to generate frequency tables? Delivery of but see there. That PowerPoint file is there. Second one is what? Marital. Marital status, we go back. And we now select marital. That's okay. And you will see marital status. Single people are there, steady relationship, living with part, living together, marrying first time, pre-married, like there are several categories. Right, the frequencies are given 439% of these, and the percentage given. Who's having the highest percentage? What the value percentage is this? Married first time. 43% is married first. Then the next highest is what? Single people. You can see these statistics again. Right. Then what's the next variable that you need to generate frequency tables? What? Child variable. Child variable, what to do it again? We go to statistics. Summary tables and tests. Then frequency tables. What table? And now you be selecting what? Child. And your right. Here you can see majority are not having children. 57.76 is not having children. So what's the last variable that you want to check? Is smoke available. So you are going to go to smoke available. How to go there? Statistics, summary tables, other tables, other tables, and one way table. And now you have to select smoke. Smoke variable. And you have to press OK. And here you can see, as we got earlier also, 81%, almost 81% unknown. Right. Smokers are only around 20%. That we go. So likewise, we were able to generate frequency tables for categorical variables. Why we call this categorical variables? Why is that? Because these are categories. Gender has two categories. Marital status had about 5-6 categories. Marital status, child, having children or not, again a category. Smoker, whether you are a smoker or not, again a category. Then I asked you to compute what? Measures of central tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location for these variables. What are the variables? Age and total life satisfaction. Right? How to do that? Over the income. So when it comes to central tendency, mean and median, dispersion, range, IQ or variance, standard deviation, distribution, skewness and kurtosis, location, percentile, and record. How to compute that? You go to Stata. Go to Stata. And then you go to statistics, summaries, tables, and tests, and you go to what? Other tables. Table of summary statistics. Which is better. Perfect table of summary statistics. And then you have to select the variables. What are the variables? Age
And then total life satisfaction. Where's that? You go to the bottom and go a little bit up. Then you can see here, there's a variable called T life set. Type. You can say T life set. You want, you can type that as well. T life set. And now, first the measures of central tendency. Let's take mean, and then I'll also select median. Mode is not there. Then I need the measures of dispersion. What are the measures of dispersion I require? Range, IQR, variance, and standard deviation. I'll select range. Range is there. Then I'll select IQR, interquartile range, and I will select standard deviation. So I selected those. Then what else I have set? In distributions, skewness and kurtosis. I'll go back and I'll select skewness. Measures of location, no space. So I'll come back. So I'll say OK. And I'll go and I'll simplify out. In that case, we'll have to go with that and go to state output. Here, the state output is there. Right, okay. Mean 37, median is 50, 36, rate 64, IQR 21, standard deviation 13, skewness and kurtosis. Life satisfaction. You can see the mean value is 22. The Likert value goes from 5 to 35. Mean value is 23. Rate is 30. 5 to 35. 35 minus 5 is 30. IQR is 9. Likewise, to the total life satisfaction also, the values are 0. Now, we need the measures of location and the percentiles. How to compute that? Again, go to the same location. Statistics, summary tables and tests, other tables, and compact table of summary statistics. Instead of these, now I am going to select part. I don't want these things. I need quartile 1. 20%. And I need quartile 2, the median. You need to use the well. And I need Q3. Let's also, I would like to see the 50th percentile. Also, I would like to see the 95th percentile. Just I select. That is up to you. Percentiles. Quarters, it's always 25th, 50th, and the 75th percentile. That's all. That's all. And you can see here. Exactly. So I told you as well as I worked out an example with you. So this would have taken 1 or 2 months to take you in paper and pencil. But it took me only about 1 hour to teach you as well as to do revision as well. Why is that? Because data is not you cannot know. Okay. Now also I taught you how to draw a diagram. What's the diagram that I taught you to draw? A histogram. Now shall we draw a pie chart for the gender variant? Please take a draw a pie chart. Draw a pie chart. Draw a pie chart for the gender variant. Draw a pie chart for the gender variant. So pie chart for the gender ratio. Try. Tell me. You should try that. Go to graphics and see. For the same right? You can do it, you can do it draw. And you can see pie chart. That's the way that you can show. Graphics, pie chart. Graphics, pie chart. Earlier we went to history. Graphics, pie chart. And selected the categorical variable. Okay. Just select it, that's it. And of course, you can do the titles and other things, but I'm going to skip that. You can give the titles, there are certain options for that. Just select it. Just select gender over here as the categorical variable. And then let's press OK. I go and press OK. Select gender here. I selected gender over here. And I will press OK. You see that we have a nice pie chart. Males and females. Males in blue color, females in maroon color. And you can see graphically also, same thing confirms. What's that? Are males or females higher? Females are higher. 57% versus 43%. 58%. 42%. So we did charts as well. We give a pie chart for the gender variable. Now I want you to draw a scatter plot diagram. A scatter plot diagram is a diagram that indicates the relationship between two variables. Right? Let's see, could not choose this one. Let's use age. Let's use age. Let's change the variables age and what it should be done. This is stress variable. TP stress. It's called TP stress. So in the data set, it's known as TP. But to open down TP stress and we use apply sensor. That's known as T life cycle. That's called a T life cycle. And I use the same file. This file. And with the instruction. You see? Right? I'll say draw. Histogram, pie chart, scatter plot, diagrams. When you draw a diagram of this nature, you have to know certain things. So what I'm asking you to do is, I'm asking you to draw a scatter plot diagram of this nature. Let me show you. I'll just sketch it and then you'll understand. Here what I require you to do is to draw a scatter plot of this nature. Now, in a graph of this nature, there are two axes. What's the horizontal axis known as X or Y? X or Y? X. The horizontal axis is known as X. The vertical axis is known as Y. Okay, explain why then. Exactly. Now, you have taken two variables. What are the two variables? Stress and life satisfaction. What impacts what? Life satisfaction is stress. Stress life satisfaction. Stress impacts life satisfaction, isn't it? So, what's the independent variable? And what's the dependent variable? Independent variable means the variable that causes the other one. What's the independent variable? What's the independent variable? Stress. Stress is causing the other variable. Right? So that's the independent. Let me take another example. Advertising expenditure and sales revenue. Advertising expenditure and sales revenue. Okay. What's the independent variable and what's the dependent variable? Advertising expenditure is what? The independent variable. Because it causes the other variable, which is the sales revenue. When you increase the advertising expenditure, your sales revenue goes up. Right? So, do you now understand what's independent and what's the dependent variable? Independent variable is the variable that causes the other variable. Right? Then let's take another example that's closer to your hearts. Number of hours you study and the grades that you get, the marks that you get for a subject. Number of hours you study is one variable. The marks that you get for the particular subject is another variable. So what's the independent and what's the dependent variable? Number of hours you study is what? The independent. What's the dependent variable? The marks that you get for your that subject. Is it clear? Independent and dependent is a simple thing. The variable that causes the other variable is known as the independent variable. The dependent variable is what's being impacted, what variable is impacted. Right? The sales revenue, your marks, in this case, life satisfaction are the dependent variable. So in this example, I have taken two variables. What are two variables? Stress and life satisfaction. So what's the independent and what's the dependent variable? Stress is what? The independent variable that causes the other variable. Then what's the dependent variable? Life satisfaction. That's the variable that is being impacted by stress. Right? Now, let me teach you a very important rule. Please keep this in mind. Always for the x-axis, put what? The independent or dependent variable? The independent variable. Always for the x-axis, put the independent variable. I call it IE. Independent variable. In this case, what's the variable that you are going to have? What's the variable you are going to have? Stress. Stress. I'm going to put independent variable is stress. I just indicated it. Stress. S. So put that as the x-axis. Independent variable should go as the x-axis. That's a convention. Right? That's a convention. That's a requirement that you have to keep in mind. Then the y-axis, you have to put what? The dependent variable. We call it the DV, dependent variable. Earlier it's IV. IV is the independent variable. DV is the dependent variable. Now in this case, what's your dependent variable? life. It's called it LS. Life cycle. Is this clear? Is this clear? X-axis, the independent variable. The y-axis, dependent variable. This convention, please keep in mind. I'm going to repeat this in the next topic as well, but again, I'm just reminding you. So I'll remind you again. Okay. Having this in mind, now let's try to draw a scatter dot diagram. Which we call a dot diagram or scatter diagram. So what we are going to do is, we are going to plot employee
There.
for each employee. We are going to see
Oh,
level and what's their corresponding stress level. For each employee, there are two, stress and satisfaction. Shall we draw a scatter plot diagram and see what kind of relationship is there? Now say, if the relationship is like this, then you can even draw a line and that's called a regression line. So what can you say? When stress goes up, what happens to life satisfaction? It goes up. Usually it's the other way. When stress goes up, the life satisfaction could go down. Shall we see? Now this here a positive relationship in this case. Very unnatural. Maybe I don't know, some kind of people who like stress. Okay. So having this in mind, now let's try to see the real relationship between stress and life satisfaction among these employees that you are selecting. Shall we do that? Okay, let's see our row scatter plot diagram. This is how you are going to draw a scatter plot diagram. You go to the data set. Go to look at this, it's a little bit complex, right? Drawing a scatter plot diagram is a little bit complex, so look very carefully how it's going to be done. Let's try it. Look at. So now what our target is to draw a scatter plot diagram between two variables. What are the two variables? Stress and life satisfaction. Stress is what? The independent variable. The dependent variable is what? Life satisfaction. So go to graphics and go to two-way graphs. Make it hard. This is a little bit complex. Histogram you have to easy. Graphics, two-way graphs. Then go to scatter. Right after that, right? We'll see how it will. So graphics, two-way graph. Graphics, two-way graphs. We have done. Graphics, two-way graphs. Then what you need to do is you need to go to here. You have to click on create. The dialog box again, you have to right. You have the two-way dialog box. You have to go and click on create. And here you can see by default scatter has been selected. Right. You can have other graphs as well, but scatter is not being selected. And here you can now select what the X and Y variable. Right. Scatter has been right under basic plots. There. Scatter has been selected. Keep it as it is. Scatter is there. Then now you have to select the X and the Y variable. What's X variable? What's the X variable? Test. So out of this list, then let's go to this list and go to the bottom of the variable. Then go a little bit up. Then you will see there is a variable called TP stress. Pay on. So you can type that also. TP stress, you can type that. TP stress. TP stress. TP stress. Total perceived stress. Right, go to the bottom. of the variable list and go a little bit up. AP stress. Is that clear? AP stress. Then Y variable is what? The dependent variable. The dependent variable. What's that? Total life stress. How to select that? You go to Y and then go again to the bottom and go a little bit up. T life set. Let's go T life set. Total life set. So T life set is that. Go to the bottom. Go a little bit up again. T life set is there. Select it. Or you can type it. T life set. More simple. Total life set. T life set is total life set. Did you do that? That's it. Now press accept. So you have created your first plot. Right? You can press OK. Then you can press OK. Shall I press OK? Now you can see a nice diagram from a character diagram. What kind of relationship you can see? Is it a positive relationship or a negative one? A negative relationship. You can see when the stress goes up, life satisfaction goes down. It's downward slope. It's downward slope. I could see that it's going down. Right, as it should be. When stress goes up, life satisfaction goes down. We need a working level of stress, but too much stress leads to low life satisfaction. You have to manage stress. So this is how you draw what? That. This is also known as a dot diagram. This is also known as a dot diagram. Capital dot are the names that I use. Right. Is that clear? So in this diagram, you have two axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. X-axis we put what? In the x-axis we put what? The independent variable. The independent variable is the x-axis. The dependent variable we put in the y-axis. This example, stress was what? The independent variable. Stress was the independent variable. The y-axis we put the dependent variable. That was life satisfaction. And apparently, you can see that there's a negative relationship. But when life satisfaction, when stress goes up, you can see the life satisfaction goes down. It's apparently also not a perfect correlation you can see in here, but you can see that there's kind of a negative correlation, negative relationship. It's going down. So that kind of, for next week, I'll do a correlation analysis as well, and it will be there. Okay. So this is graphical analysis. You can show these relationships and other things on a graphical basis as well. So there are line charts, bar charts you can explore, different charts that you can show. So I welcome you to try it by yourself. Start. Okay. So today, what I tried to do is, I told you the entire spectrum of descriptive analysis. Right? Or the descriptive analysis I told you. So I told you, before you do any kind of descriptive analysis, look at the variable, the nature of the variable. If the variable is categorical, I asked you to do what's not analysis. Categorical number frequency analysis. To do frequency analysis. Gender, marital status, for example, where you perform a frequency analysis. Right? If the variable is categorical, perform a frequency analysis. If the variable was a continuous variable, then you can go for the four categories of analysis. What are those? Measures of central tendency,
dispersion, distribution, and location. It makes sense for a continuous variable like age or setup or license or stress. It makes sense for it. So these are type questions also. We come to part measures of center tendency, dispersion, distribution, and location. So when it came to measures of central tendency, what were the measures of central tendency we computed?
නෑ ගහලා තිබ්බ බෑස්ක දැන් තා 28යි තව තියෙනවා.
Online දරුවෙක්ගේ මේකක් ඕපන් මේ මොන වෙලාව? මයික් එකක් ඔන් වෙලා ඒක බලන්න. One of the online students might be inadvertently on, so please be mindful about that. You might hear something. Tomorrow, එක දේවල් පේනවා ගන්නවා immediately video up. ඒ වගේ තමයි ඒක එක දවසක් ළමයි ප්‍රසන්න කරනවා. Okay, okay. ආගන්න පුළුවන් නේද මේ what we call you can put a screen in a sense you can put a virtual background. එක දවසක් තව මේකක් කරනකොට hostel එන්නේ hostel එක. මායි තව විස්තර දෙන්නෙකුත් පොදන්න. මුදෙන් ඔක්කොම හොඳට ටයි එක දාගෙන ප්‍රසන්න කරනවා. පිටිපස්සේ ගිහින් එකේ මොකද? ඉන්නේ යාළුවෙක් hostel එකේ. ඒ යාළුවෙක් hostel එකේ थोड़ा काफी प्रमाणे करेंगे दूसरा तो आगे ना किया so they have to be mindful and of course you can use what virtual background please use virtual background then you don't need to show your home or whatever the other thing right so measures of central tendency then we came into measures of dispersion. What were the measures of dispersion that we discussed? We discussed minimum, maximum, range, interquartile range, standard deviation, as well as variance. And I taught you how to get it. Then measures of location. You know that measures of distribution I taught you. I taught you two measures of distribution. What are those? One is skewness, the other one is curves. We discussed that. Then finally we came into what? Finally came into measures of location. I told you there are several measures of location. You can take the percentiles as well as quartile. So I told you there are three quartiles that are important. Of course, there are three quartiles. What are the three quartiles? Q1, Q2, and Q3. Q1 is the 25th percentile, Q2 is the 50th percentile, and Q3 is the 75th percentile. So then I told you Q3 minus Q1 is known as what? IQR, interquartile trend. We computed all these things using data within seconds. Then did I stop from there? No. I asked you to do an exercise and even I worked it out for you. Then I go back here now, metric and we have to buy now. This is a bigger rapid movement. No rush. What are the criteria? Our question. So I did not ask you, but next day I will give you a classroom exercise. So be ready with this. Then I did not stop from there as well. Then I took forward you to show you what? Show you what? Graphical analysis. I drew three graphs with you. What are those? Histogram, which shows the distribution of the data, as well as what? A pie chart, as well as a scatter plot diagram or a dot diagram. So entire spectrum of descriptive analysis we have discussed. Okay, is it clear? Any questions? Questions? Concerns? Right. Okay. That's what I want after this. Then after that, we shall see how to go into correlation analysis. So the next topic that we'll be discussing is correlation analysis, which we'll discuss next. Shall we take attendance? Count the attendance. We take attendance. So be ready to get attendance. But first of all, let me make some changes. It's today 12th. And we started from 8. And we go to refresh. Now get ready to get the attendance. Online as well as offline. Just check with each one. All better. So, okay, sir. And for your information, I have for your information, I also have uploaded slide for the next period, the next week. I have given you individual and group assignment guidelines. 50. Please go through them here. I'll explain them to you. Please go through them. It says how the individual assignment and the group assignment is pertained. Explain that to you next week. If they are a bit of time. So these are the assignment guidelines. Just briefly I'll explain before then we can go home for your next topic. So what you need to do is the individual assignment. Create a synthetic data set. First of all, have a small case study. It can be anything like I have given some examples. It can be analyzing factors influencing investor stock risk tolerance. It might be even studying financial literacy and spending behavior among yourself, young adults. Likewise, select any topic that you like and create a small case study. 1 to 2 pages case study. And based on that case study, right, what you need to do is you need to create a data set. It's a synthetic data set. Synthetic means you can make up your own data. You don't need to really collect it.
Data collection takes a long time. So you can create your own data set, a synthetic data. And for that, you have to create a questionnaire also. So a small case study, a questionnaire, and a and under your first assignment, what you have to do is basically, I'll tell this in detail, just I'm telling this, just putting you some anchors that you have an individual assignment. And then what you need to do is in the first assignment, you have to do a descriptive analysis. A descriptive analysis using the data that you create. Right? So a simple task, but it takes a long time to create a proper case study. You can generate your own case. You can generate your own data. So that's what it says. You have to come up with a mini case study, question development, a data set, and perform a descriptive analysis. You are required only under this descriptive. Now, even now, you should be able to do the individual assignment, which you don't need to. It will be at the end of the semester that you have to do. And the deliverable is that you will be combining a report, the Excel file as well as data file needs to be sorted. So these are the submissions. Then under the group assignment, I'll teach this again. I'm just putting an anchor to it. Right? Then under the group assignment, what you need to do is, right, you have to form groups. You have to form groups, maybe already you have groups, right? What's the maximum number of members or usual average number of members? Are 8. 8 you have to. You have to form groups that are one of which you poor. Then we have groups. So maximum 6 member groups. 6 member groups form into 6 member groups. And then what you have to do is a group के एक individual assignment कर. Take one individual assignment out of the group and make it the group one. What you need to do is you need to use the same case study and do some advanced analysis that I will teach you in future. Like what? Correlation, regression, and other. T-test one way, like that. That's for the group assignment. That's what for what? Digital business strategy. For digital business strategy also, you within the group you took what? What is it? Right. So that's what is required. I'll teach you this again. Just to put you an anchor on what you need to do. So with that, thank you. I'll read the case study and I'll teach you again this and I'll tell you what are the requirements on this particular group and the individual as well as the group assignment. But these are the detailed guidelines that are which I'll go through again, maybe next week or week after. Okay, so that's it and thank you very much. We'll meet next. What they put that What is it? Only